Hello, I'm Father Norm Douglas, a pastor at St. Vincent de Paul Parish in Akron, Ohio. I did a previous reflection last week as we're going through these times and how we can allow our faith to touch us and influence us because it is a difficult time. It is a time in which people understandably can get discouraged or depressed or think, what's happening? What's the use? And so today, another reflection I want to look at, and I'm going to be using some notes for this, but thinking about the notion of home. For example, the closing line in The Wizard of Oz was Dorothy saying, "There is no place like home." Hopefully, through this very difficult time, each of us will learn, if we haven't already, how to become a homebody. Various governors, including our own governor, Mike DeWine, have told us to stay home. Another way they have expressed this to us is to shelter in place. As people of faith, and specifically for those among us who are Christian, we realize that our Creator God sent Jesus Christ to be at home with us. Not to show that our God is not some distant, far away, far removed God that we can't relate to, but God through Jesus said, "Hey, I'm here. I'm at home with you. I'm near at hand. I'm always a presence for you and with you." And certainly that's a good part of the Christian message. Again, that also God initiates this love relationship. He freely offers it, and He wants to know He does deeply love us, always have and always will, even through this. We are separated, many of us now, understandably, and we grieve this new reality. Tongue in cheek, I say to each person, think of yourself as a monk in training. Monks spend their whole life often in solitude and in prayer. And sometimes people say, how can they be so joyful? How can they be so up? Part of the reason for them, and we're not all called to be monks, that's for sure. Not me, I know. But part of that is that monastic sense of what matters most in our life is knowing the presence of God. And that presence is always there. And it's a matter of us opening up, being more conscious, being more centered, experiencing our greatest need is to be loved. And it's to be loved here and now. It's to be loved our whole life through. And it's to be loved forever. And that's what faith reminds us of, especially Jesus saying, that's what I'm here for. That's what I want to remind you of. And so when we recognize that, we know that our greatest source of peace is going within. Pope Francis has called those who are Christian to be missionary disciples. As disciples, kind of what that means is we're learning. We're learning more, in this case, those who do follow Jesus, from how Jesus calls us to live, to trust God, to pray, to love one another. And again, putting Him at the center of our lives. Jesus is the one who shelters us. Speaking of sheltering, can shelter us over a lifetime from fear, from resentment, from hurt, from loss. And as missionary disciples, not only disciples learning, but missionaries, which basically means we are being called, touched by God, to be sent forth to our everyday community and world. And certainly that's needed today, that in this world, whether we're Christian or some other faith tradition or just trying to get some sense of where we're called to love one another, that we need to keep coming back to that and seeing that as the most important foundation of our lives and of that missionary spirit reaching out to others. And a lot of people are doing a lot of things during this time. One thing that struck me, a lot of my friends over the last couple of weeks have texted me, which is good, saying, how you doing? Hope all is well. But then it struck me, probably just a few days ago, this is good, but my goodness, with having more time, with being able to talk on the phone, texting is great for quick messages, but now is the time to talk to each other personally, to get back to that old gadget, just the plain old phone, use it for that, call people, hear each other, share for a while, catch up with people. Think of those people maybe that you haven't talked to even already a couple weeks now that you could give a call. Especially if there's people in your past life, that you remember, that touched your life, that did something for you. Hopefully, if they're still alive, get their number, give them a call, let them know. I remember years ago a Boy Scout master that I had who made a big difference in my life because my mom was raising me as a single parent, that I wanted to get a hold of him. I found out that he lived in Florida. I got a number from somebody. I called him. We talked for a long while on the phone, and it was magnificent. We both were deeply touched and lifted up. A few years later, when he died, it was in Florida, but he had grown up in Akron. He requested that his body be brought back to Akron, and he had told me in his part of his last will that he wanted me to lead his funeral. All that came because of a simple phone call. Who can you be calling? Who can you be finding out more about? Especially people that are isolated or in their home. Our parish is trying to do more with that. Also, then, as we're about to go on and just almost wrap this up, that maybe each of us think of calling or praying for one person a day. Look in your contacts, look in Facebook, and again, FaceTime on those iPhones or whatever kind of phone you have. They're good, and it's certainly to do that. But especially get on the phone, talk with each other, or in FaceTime, spend a little more time talking with each other and being able to talk not just superficially, but share our feelings, share our love for one another, and help each other remember that none of us is alone, that all of us are in this together, that the Lord God made us for relationship with Him and with each other. What a gift. Let's share that love. Thank you for listening to this message, and I just appreciate the gift of every human being in my life, even you, many of whom I won't ever know. But I know this, we've had a heart-to-heart connection. God bless.